Are you struggling with the German articles der, die, das? Then you are in the right place. In this video, I will share a super simple memory trick that will make learning these articles a breeze. I'm Johannes Mallow, 2 times world memory champion, and after this video, you will have already learned 30 articles. So let's make German grammar fun and get things started. Okay, what is it about these articles? In German, we have 3 different genders attached to our nouns. For example, the moon means der Mond in German, and this is a masculine noun. For the sun, we have die Sonne, which is a feminine noun, and for the house, we have das Haus, which is a neuter noun. And even though there are some rules for learning it, for example, one of the easiest things is, of course, der König, the king, which is a male person, or die Königin, the queen, which is a female person. But there are a lot of exceptions and problems with that, and many people who try to learn German struggle with that. And the main problem with that is that if you don't have the right article, you will make many grammarly mistakes based on that wrong article. So how can we use memory techniques for that? Memory techniques are all about creating stories in your mind and visualize them. They can be funny, exceptional, strange, whatever. And in the first place, it looks like this is way harder and much more effort to learn it. But we just create stories, and that's what I really mean. We don't memorize anything here, we just create stories. But these stories will stick to your mind, and there's almost nothing you can do about it. I call the following technique the 3 worlds technique, because we have 3 different worlds, 3 different environments, images for our 3 different articles. So I have the mountain as the der world, because the mountain is der Berg. So this is a nice start for the der world. For the die world, I have the desert, because it's die Wüste. So I imagine the desert. And for the das world, I have a sea, because it's das Meer. So we have these 3 worlds. And now let's dive into one of these worlds. Let's start with the der world. What we do now is we attach all the words which are masculine, because it's der Berg, masculine, to this mountain. And we try to visualize them on this mountain. So afterwards, we will know if the word was on the mountain. We already know it's a der, a masculine word. The easiest thing to start with is, of course, the king or the prince. Der König. It's a male person, so it must be on the mountain. You don't necessarily have to memorize that on a mountain because you know it already. But for an example, it's a great start. And it's nice to have a person to interact with. And it's already getting dark. The moon is rising and it's getting dark. Der Mond. And it's dinner time and the king wants something out of his fridge. Der Kühlschrank. Always visualize it and try to see it in your inner eye. Okay, what else does he have on his mountain? He has a chair, he has a table, and he has an oven. All der words. Der Tisch, der Stuhl, der Ofen. And on his table, he has a plate, he has a spoon, and he has an apple. So he has to eat his apple with his spoon on this plate. And it's all der words. It's der Apfel, it's der Löffel, and it's der Teller. And believe it or not, this is already done. You have already memorized these 10 articles just by visualizing this image here. And it's hard to forget the prince, the king on the mountain, with his table, his empty plate, his apple, with his fridge and his oven where he wanted to cook something. So this is already there and you don't have to make something else about it. Just visualize it, think about it. And if I ask you later, where was the apple? You will immediately know it was on the mountain. And if it was on the mountain, you know it's der Apfel. Let's continue with the next world. For the die world, I choose the desert because it's die Wüste. And in order to even remember that, I just put a queen into the desert. Because, of course, the queen is die Königin, because it's a female person. So she's living in the desert and the sun, die Sonne, is shining. But she's lucky, she has an oasis around her, die Oase. And in her nice apartment she has a lamp, die Lampe. And our queen just got up because she's working in home office and she wants to eat something, so she has a huge fork, she has a cup, and she has a bowl. It's die Gabel, die Tasse, die Schüssel. And in order to work, she needs die Maus, the mouse, and die Tastatur, the keyboard. And again, just try to imagine it, try to visualize it here in our desert. There is no need to 100% retell this story. It's just about imagining these images in the desert. And last but not least, we have the Das world, das Meer, the sea. And in order to memorize that this is the Das world, I put a Das person into it. In this case, a baby, the baby, das Baby. But I give this baby a ship, das Schiff. And the baby is not just a passenger, it's even steering the ship with the steering wheel, das Steuerrad. And maybe it's transporting something, it's transporting a big bike, das Fahrrad. And in breaks, it's reading a book, das Buch. And drinking from a glass, das Glas. And now it suddenly discovers a house with a huge knife on top of it, das Messer. And on the side, there's a water basin attached. You can wash your hands, das Waschbecken. And again, just try to visualize it in front of your inner eye. You don't have to retell the whole story. Just close your eyes, try to imagine it again, and you are already done. And that's it. Believe it or not, you already learned these 30 articles. Because right now, if I'm asking you, try to imagine where was the fork? You think of, oh, it was in the desert. It's the. Where was the apple? It was in the mountains with the king. It's a der. Where was the ship? Of course, it was on the sea. Das Schiff. The cool thing is, it just pops up. You remember that house in the environment, in the world of the sea. It's swimming on the sea. Or you just see the moon again in the world of the mountain. And that's a powerful trick here. Your brain is doing the rest. You just think of a word and it immediately pops up into your brain where that noun was, in which world. And if you want to know how many of these 30 you really memorized and give me a feedback, you can test yourself. I put a link into the description with a little quiz. It's free, no sign up, nothing. You just can test yourself and see how many of these 30 articles you can recall. If you enjoyed this video, just check out my other videos here, for example, the Memory Palace, and see you soon here on Memory Sports TV.